Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala ahlihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'du. First and foremost, let's say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who has given blessing and opportunities. His salawat and greetings we give to the great prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us from the era ignorance to the age of knowledge as it is today. Introducing us from the group 4, I'm Rishi Nafianti. Then the second one is Ilyas, and the last one is Aldi.
We will discuss about chapter 4. Kami akan membahas mengenai bab 4. You are precious, kamu berharga. Warm up, is it bullying? Pemanasan, apa itu intimidasi? How can you tell of someone a big heart? Put the expression below in the correct category. Bagaimana Anda bisa tahu seseorang sedang diganggu? Masukkan ungkapan di bawah ini ke dalam kategori yang benar. Joking around, bercanda. Conflict, mean, berarti. Bullying, penindasan. Based on anger, berdasarkan kemarahan. Everyone is having fun, semua orang bersenang-senang. Can be social, verbal, physical, cyber. Bisa sosial, verbal, fisik, dan cyber. It is a reaction to a strong emotion or feeling. Ini adalah reaksi terhadap emosi atau perasaan yang kuat. Not planned, tidak direncanakan. A solution usually can be found. Sebuah solusi biasanya dapat ditemukan. No one is getting hurt. Tidak ada yang terluka. One or twice, sekali atau dua kali. Everyone is participating equally. Semua orang berpartisipasi secara setara. Someone is being hurt on purpose. Seorang disakiti dengan sengaja. Intentional, disengaja. Repeated, unwanted. Berulang, tidak diinginkan. Put down are unkind one. To hurt people's feeling and can cause you to lose friends. Put ups are kind words. Put ups make people feel good and are important in all friendship. Discuss with a partner some example of put down and put ups. Write them down in the bubbles and box. Put down adalah kata-kata yang tidak baik. Mereka menyakiti perasaan orang dan dapat menyebabkan kita kehilangan teman. Put up adalah kata-kata yang baik. Put up membuat semua orang merasa baik dan penting dalam semua persahabatan. Diskusikan dengan seseorang, tekan beberapa contoh dari put up dan put down. Tuliskan dalam gelembung dan kotak. Bullying. Write your own definition and example of kind of bullying. Tulislah definisimu sendiri dan contoh macam-macam bullying. B. Walk around the class and talk to 4 to 5 classmates separately. Share your notes about bullying with them and see if you have the same opinions. Put a check on your notes for similar ideas. B. Berjalan di sekitar kelas dan berbicara dengan 4-5 teman sekelas secara terpisah. Bagikan catatan Anda tentang intimidasi dengan mereka. dan lihat apakah Anda memiliki hal yang sama pendapat. Beri tanda centang pada catatan untuk ide-ide serupa. Grammar: present continuous passive, infinitive passive. Tata bahasa: present continuous passive. Use the present continuous passive to describe an action in the progress. When you want to focus on the receiver of the action instead of the doer of the action. Gunakan present continuous passive untuk menggambarkan tindakan yang sedang berlangsung ketika Anda ingin fokus pada penerimaan tindakan daripada pelaku tindakan. Active: Amanda is bullying in the new school. Passive: Amanda is being bullied in the school. Aktif: Amanda melakukan intimidasi di sekolah barunya. Pasif: Amanda sedang diganggu di sekolah. Use the infinitive passive after verbs like have and need when you want to focus on the receiver of the action instead of the doer of the action. Gunakan infinitive pasif setelah kata kerja seperti have dan need ketika Anda ingin fokus pada penerimaan tindakan, bukan pada pelaku tindakan. Active: Somebody has to do something. People need to put the bikes somewhere. Aktif: Seseorang harus melakukan sesuatu, orang-orang perlu meletakkan kepada suatu tempat. Passive: Something has to be done. The bikes need to be put somewhere. Pasif: Sesuatu harus dilakukan. Sepeda harus diletakkan di suatu tempat.
Mental health, kesehatan mental. Vocabulary, kosakata. Stereotype, a person or thing that conform to industry, fixed impression or attitude. Stereotypes are attitude about a group of people, e.g., all people with mental illness are dangerous. Stereotip, seseorang atau sesuatu yang sesuai dengan kesan atau sikap yang ditetapkan secara tidak adil. Stereotype adalah sikap tentang sekelompok orang, misalnya semua orang dengan penyakit mental itu berbahaya. Prejudice, a preconceived opinion. Prejudice is agreeing with the stereotypes, e.g., I think people with mental illness are dangerous. Prasangka, pendapat yang terbentuk. Sebelumnya, prasangka setuju dengan stereotip. Misalnya, saya pikir dengan orang yang penyakit mental itu berbahaya. Discrimination, unfavorable treatment based on prejudice. Discrimination is the behavior that result, I don't want people with mental illness around me. Therefore, I discriminate against them by not hearing them, not being friend with them. The Concise Oxford Dictionary 1996. Diskriminasi, pelakuan yang tidak menguntungkan berdasarkan prasangka. Diskriminasi adalah pelaku yang dihasilkan. Saya tidak ingin orang dengan penyakit mental di sekitar saya. Oleh karena itu, saya mendiskriminasi mereka dengan tidak memperkerjakan mereka, tidak berteman dengan mereka di kampus Oxford. Ringkas, 1996. A. Have a fair discussion about common stereotypes, prejudices, and discrimination that you know exciting in the society. What you're finding in the table below. A. Berdiskusi berpasangan tentang stereotip, prasangka, dan diskriminasi umum yang Anda ketahui yang ada di masyarakat. Tuliskan temuan yang Anda pada tabel. Tuliskan pada tabel tersebut. Stereotypes, prejudices, discrimination, stereotip, prasangka, diskriminasi. Listening, mendengarkan. Scan the QR code, klik the link for the audio. Pindai kode QR, klik tautan untuk audio. A. Before watching the video, do you think being lonely and being alone are at least the same. Why? Why not? Do social skills matter when it comes to social connection? Sebelum menonton video, apakah menurut Anda kesepian ataupun kesendirian? Apakah ini sama? Mengapa? Mengapa tidak? Apakah keterampilan sosial penting dalam hubungan sosial? B. Discuss this question with your partner. Share your answer with the class. B. Diskusikan pertanyaan-pertanyaan ini dengan pasangan Anda. Bagikan jawaban Anda dengan kelas.
Everybody feels lonely from time to time. When we have no one to sit next to at lunch, when we move to a new city, or when nobody has time for us at the weekend. But over the last few decades, this occasional feeling has become chronic for millions. In the UK, 60% of 18 to 34-year-olds say they often feel lonely. In the US, 46% of the entire population feel lonely regularly. We are living in the most connected time in human history, and yet an unprecedented number of us feel isolated. Being lonely and being alone are not the same thing. You can be filled with bliss by yourself and hate every second surrounded by friends. Loneliness is a purely subjective, individual experience. If you feel lonely, you are lonely. A common stereotype is that loneliness only happens to people who don't know how to talk to people or how to behave around others. But population-based studies have shown that social skills make practically no difference for adults when it comes to social connections. Loneliness can affect everybody. Money, fame, power, beauty, social skills, a great personality. Nothing can protect you against loneliness because it's part of your biology. Loneliness is a bodily function, like hunger. Hunger makes you pay attention to your physical needs. Loneliness makes you pay attention to your social needs. Your body cares about your social needs because millions of years ago it was a great indicator of how likely you were to survive. Natural selection rewarded our ancestors for collaboration and for forming connections with each other. Our brains grew and became more and more fine-tuned to recognize what others thought and felt and to form and sustain social bonds. Being social became part of our biology. You were born into groups of 50 to 150 people, which you usually stayed with for the rest of your life. Getting enough calories, staying safe and warm, or caring for offspring was practically impossible alone. Being together meant survival. Being alone meant death. So it was crucial that you got along with others. For your ancestors, the most dangerous threat to survival was not being eaten by a lion, but not getting the social vibe of your group and being excluded. To avoid that, your body came up with social pain. Pain of this kind is an evolutionary adaptation to rejection. A sort of early warning system to make sure you stop behavior that would isolate you. Your ancestors who experienced rejection as more painful were more likely to change their behavior when they got rejected and thus stayed in the tribe, while those who did not got kicked out and most likely died. That's why rejections hurt, and even more so, why loneliness is so painful. These mechanisms for keeping us connected worked great for most of our history until humans began building a new world for themselves. The loneliness epidemic we see today really only started in the late Renaissance. Western culture began to focus on the individual. Intellectuals moved away from the collectivism of the Middle Ages, while the young Protestant theology stressed individual responsibility. This trend accelerated during the Industrial Revolution. People left their villages and fields to enter factories. Communities that had existed for hundreds of years began to dissolve, while cities grew. As our world rapidly became modern, this trend sped up more and more. Today, we move vast distances for new jobs, love and education, and leave our social net behind. We meet fewer people in person, and we meet them less often than in the past. In the US, the mean number of close friends dropped from 3 in 1985 to 2 in 2011. Most people stumble into chronic loneliness by accident. You reach adulthood and become busy with work, university, romance, kids, and Netflix. There's just not enough time. The most convenient and easy thing to sacrifice is time with friends. Till you wake up one day and realize that you feel isolated, that you yearn for close relationships. But it's hard to find close connections as adults, and so loneliness can become chronic. While humans feel pretty great about things like iPhones and spaceships, our bodies and minds are fundamentally the same they were 50,000 years ago. We are still biologically fine-tuned to being with each other. Large-scale studies have shown that the stress that comes from chronic loneliness is among the most unhealthy things we can experience as humans. It makes you age quicker, it makes cancer deadlier, Alzheimer's advance faster, your immune system's weaker. Loneliness is twice as deadly as obesity and as deadly as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. The most dangerous thing about it is that once it becomes chronic, it can become self-sustaining. Physical and social pain use common mechanisms in your brain. Both feel like a threat, and so social pain leads to immediate and defensive behavior when it's inflicted on you. When loneliness becomes chronic, your brain goes into self-preservation mode. It starts to see danger and hostility everywhere. But that's not all. Some studies found that when you're lonely, your brain is much more receptive and alert to social signals, while at the same time, it gets worse at interpreting them correctly. You pay more attention to others, but you understand them less. The part of your brain that recognizes faces gets out of tune and becomes more likely to categorize neutral faces as hostile, which makes it distrustful of others. Loneliness makes you assume the worst about others' intentions towards you. Because of this perceived hostile world, you can become more self-centered to protect yourself, which can make you appear more cold, unfriendly, and socially awkward than you really are. If loneliness has become a strong presence in your life, the first thing you can do is to try to recognize the vicious cycle you may be trapped in. It usually goes something like this. An initial feeling of isolation leads to feelings of tension and sadness, which makes you focus your attention selectively on negative interactions with others. This makes your thoughts about yourself and others more negative, which then changes your behavior. You begin to avoid social interaction, which leads to more feelings of isolation. This cycle becomes more severe and harder to escape each time. Loneliness makes you sit far away from others in class, not answer the phone when friends call, decline invitations until the invitations stop. Each and every one of us has a story about ourselves, and if your story becomes that people exclude you, others pick up on that. And so the outside world can become the way you feel about it. This is often a slow creeping process that takes years and can end in depression and a mental state that prevents connections even if you yearn for them. The first thing you can do to escape it is to accept that loneliness is a totally normal feeling and nothing to be ashamed of. Literally everybody feels lonely at some point in their life. It's a universal human experience. You can't eliminate or ignore a feeling until it goes away magically, but you can accept that you feel it and get rid of its cause. You can self-examine what you focus your attention on and check if you are selectively concentrating on negative things. Was this interaction with a colleague really negative? Or was it really neutral or even positive? What was the actual content of an interaction? What did the other person say? And did they say something bad, or did you add extra meaning to their words? Maybe another person was not really reacting negatively, but just short on time. Then there are your thoughts about the world. Are you assuming the worst about others' intentions? Do you enter a social situation and have already decided how it will go? Do you assume others don't want you around? Are you trying to avoid being hurt and not risking opening up? And if so, can you try to give others the benefit of the doubt? Can you just assume that they're not against you? Can you risk being open and vulnerable again? And lastly, your behavior. Are you avoiding opportunities to be around others? Are you looking for excuses to decline invitations? Or are you pushing others away preemptively to protect yourself? Are you acting as if you're getting attacked? Are you really looking for new connections, or have you become complacent with your situation? Of course, every person and situation is unique and different, and just introspection alone might not be enough. If you feel unable to solve your situation by yourself, please try to reach out and get professional help. It's not a sign of weakness, but of courage. However we look at loneliness, as a purely individual problem that needs solving to create more personal happiness, or as a public health crisis, it is something that deserves more attention. Humans have built a world that's nothing short of amazing, and yet none of the shiny things we've made is able to satisfy or substitute our fundamental biological need for connection. Most animals get what they need from their physical surroundings. We get what we need from each other. And we need to build our artificial human world based on that. Let's try something together. Let's reach out to someone today. Regardless if you feel a little bit lonely or if you want to make someone else's day better. Maybe write a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Call a family member who's become estranged. Invite a work buddy for a coffee. Or just go to something you're usually too afraid to go to or too lazy to go to, like a D&D event or a sports club. Everybody's different, so you know what's a good fit for you. Maybe nothing will come of it, and that's okay. Don't do this with any expectations. The goal is just to open up a bit, to exercise your connection muscles so they can grow stronger over time, or to help others exercise them. We want to recommend two of the books we read while researching this video. Emotional First Aid by Guy Winch, a book that addresses, among other topics, how to deal with loneliness in a way that we found helpful and actionable. And Loneliness, Human Nature and the Need for Social Connection by John Cacioppo and William Patrick. It's an entertaining and scientific exploration as to why we experience loneliness on a biological level, how it's spread in society, and what science has to say about how to escape it. Links for both books in the video description.
1. Why was our feeling of loneliness so important in the prehistoric times? Try to explain this expression with your partner. Care for offspring, natural selection, sustains, social bond, crucial trait, social vibe, the isolation. 1. Mengapa perasaan kesepian kita begitu penting di zaman prasejarah? Coba jelaskan ungkapan-ungkapan ini dengan pasangan Anda. Merawat keturunan, seleksi alam, mempertahankan ikatan sosial, penting ancaman, getaran sosial, dikucilkan, dan diisolasi. Mungkin dijawab oleh para teman-teman sekalian. Note, catatan. Pada halaman ini mungkin bisa sama teman-teman dijawab. 2. How has our social network changed throughout history? How many close friends do people have in general nowadays? What are the 5 most common traits to maintaining a close relationship with your friends? Bagaimana jaringan sosial kita berubah sepanjang sejarah? Berapa banyak teman dekat yang dimiliki pada orang pada umumnya saat ini? Apa 5 ancaman paling umum untuk menjaga hubungan dekat dengan teman Anda? Note, catatan. Silakan diisi ataupun dijawab oleh teman-teman sekalian. 3. How does chronic loneliness affect our body? Which is more deadly? Obesity, smoking, or loneliness? Why is loneliness self-sustaining? Try to explain this expression with your partner. Chronic illness, hostility, something inflicted on you, Defensive behavior, be receptive toward social signal. Neutral, assume the worst. 3. Bagaimana kesepian kronis mempengaruhi tubuh kita? Mana yang lebih mematikan? Obesitas, merokok, atau kesepian? Mengapa kesepian menopang dirinya sendiri? Coba jelaskan ungkapan-ungkapan ini dengan pasangan Anda. Penyakit kronis, permusuhan, dan sesuatu yang menimpa Anda. Perilaku defensif, bersikap reseptif terhadap sinyal sosial. Neutral, untuk menganggap sesuatu yang buruk. Note, catatan. 4. What can we do about this species circle in general, and practical tips how to start this today? 4. Apa yang dapat kita lakukan terhadap lingkaran setan ini secara umum? Adakah tips praktis bagaimana memulainya hari ini? Note, catatan.
Ya, saya akan menjelaskan tentang interaction, yaitu seperti read each of the following statements on a scale of 1 to 4, yaitu suatu pernyataan penilaian pada skala 1 sampai 4. Seperti contoh berikut. Nomor 1, never or seldom. Lalu kedua, sometimes. Ketiga, often. Dan keempat, always. Lalu pada tabel berikut, yaitu suatu tabel yang menjelaskan suatu menjelaskan seperti tingkat efek samping stres, yaitu tes stres. Nah, lalu pada berikutnya di sini ada suatu panduan, suatu penilaian tingkatan stres, yaitu under 20 low stress, yaitu di bawah 20 tingkatan stresnya yaitu cukup rendah. Lalu 21 to 13, yaitu medium stress dengan tingkat stres yang sedang. Lalu 31 and up, yaitu tingkat tekanan stresnya cukup tinggi. Lalu berikutnya speaking, berbicara. Speaking tersebut menjelaskan seperti pemberian nasihat, yaitu seperti saran dan suatu kalimat yang mengatakan seperti contoh berikut. I was wondering if you ever touch of. Lalu I think it might be a good idea to. Dan I strolling advise you to. Lalu pada berikutnya, lalu contoh kalimat berikutnya, I suggest to you that you should. Lalu I strongly recommend that you should. Lalu you are really out to solve. Then if where you hide. Lalu why don't you. Dan you alright. Dan okay. Lalu berikutnya ada practice make suggestion and or give advice work in parents, yaitu satu kalimat yang satu kalimat yang untuk membuat saran seperti contoh berikut. Pada situation 1, have to choose between the job. One job is exciting with a low salary. That other job is boring with an excellent salary. You access your close friend for suggestion. You can either epic them or turn them down. Itu suatu situasi yang harus memilih dua pekerja. Satu pekerja yang menarik dengan gaji rendah dan pekerjaan yang membosankan dengan gaji yang sangat baik. Lalu pada situasi kedua yaitu situation 2. Last week she has tried many different methods, but none of them worked. When she asks you for help, you give her some advice. She can either exit your advice or turn it down. Nah, pada situasi kedua ini yaitu suatu program menurunkan berat badan dengan metode yang berbeda, tetapi tidak satupun mereka yang bekerja. Ketika ia meminta bantuan terhadap Anda, lalu Anda pun memberikan beberapa saran, seperti menerima saran atau menolaknya kepada dia. Lalu pada situasi ketiga yaitu situation 3 yaitu you are thinking about marrying a person who is unlike you is many walls. You are Mrs. She is it. You are talking thief. She can cook at all. You are always careful. She really seems you have to get some advice from your close friend. You can attend exercise or turn in down. Yaitu satu kalimat untuk berpikir untuk menikahi seseorang yang tidak seperti Anda dalam memiliki hal banyak. Lalu Anda berantakan dan dia rapi. Kamu pun banyak bicara dan dia pendiam. Lalu situasi nomor 4. Situation 4. Your child tell that he has been feeling very strange because he is working the job. She has him hard to quit the night job and tell him her while. Your challenge can either epic your advance or turn it down. Nah, lalu situasi yang keempat yaitu suatu pemberian Anda untuk pekerjaan. Dia memiliki anak yang sangat membutuhkan uang, dan ia pun memiliki pekerjaan sampai malam. Anda menyarankan untuk berhenti dari pekerjaan malam itu dan memberitahu kepada dia alasannya. Anda dapat menerima saran dan atau menolaknya.